I waste my life again and again on you, on you. There is nothing to be wasted, Lord, on you, on you. What a good way to be wasted, Lord, on you, on you. I waste my life again and again on you, Jesus, on you. There is nothing to be wasted, Lord, on you, on you. What a good way to be wasted, Lord, on you, on you. What a good way to be wasted, Lord, on you, on you. What a good way to be wasted, Lord, on you, on you. Wow. It's a song written by Dr. Paul Enenche, one of my spiritual father who have taught me so many things in life and in ministry. And today, when I talk, people think I'm rebellious. No, I'm not. Anyway, from the first episode, I said I was going to mention names of some pastors that I met and the deacon who was very active, who took me through my foundation class. The person is Deacon Umba. There was also Pastor Tunde Daniels, who is popularly known as Pastor Tonda, who was pastoring Jos. And then we have Pastor Panier. Pastor Panier was around. We have Pastor Paul Odu, and then we have other young ministers, Pastor Baya, Pastor Sunday Bande, like that. Pastor Success Akban. These were ministers on ground. And like I said in the first episode, after my auntie took me to church that first Sunday and I became a member, before I graduated from the membership class, at a point it became very difficult for me to be coming from Kado Estate to Area 1. If you know Abuja very well and you're conversant with the terrain, it's a long distance for someone to trek. So I usually trek from Kado Estate to Area 1 to attend membership class because I was already in love with the training and I never want to miss any day of my training. And after the membership class, I started relating with people. And one of the first person I got attracted to is Pastor Baya Johanna. And we became friends. He introduced me to Success Akban, who is in charge of the bookshop. And then I told him where I usually trek from to come for membership class. And now that I've enrolled for maturity class, it's going to be tedious for me to be trekking all the time. So he agreed that I should bring in my bag and put it inside the bookshop while he was sleeping in the church. So I slept in the church for 1 year, 3 months, myself and Pastor Baya. And one of the faithful early morning, Pastor Baya was taking his bait at behind the children's church. If you know Dunamis, that time, as 2001, the children's church is at one gully there. where Pastor Ayo Adu kept some of his property. And Dr. Paul came and saw Pastor Baya bathing naked. And he like said, Baya, what are you doing? He said, I'm bathing. He said, and you're naked bathing. He said, I'm not naked. He said, but I'm seeing you. Dr. Paul said, I'm seeing you, so you are not seeing me. It was very funny, you know. And that was how Dr. Paul quickly made an arrangement for Pastor Baya, and Baya got one of the residential apartments that was used by some pastors, Pastor King Umudu and Pastor Philip Abba, as me. So he moved in and I went with him. We were staying in the house, even though not really befitting. Story for another day. And from there, like that, I they posted vacancy for driver to be driving the church bus. And I went for interview with Pastor Obeya. I'm sure he remember what I'm saying. He took me around Gerike Aziz to check if I was good in driving, if I could drive in the city. Because I was a good driver from Kano, and Abuja, you must have to follow the rule of the road traffic and whatever. So he took me around and I was able to meet his expectation. And so the first person I was to drive was Dr. Paul. And he said, I should enter the car, let's go. I didn't know where we were heading to. My body was shaking, you know. So when we got out of the church premises, hit the road, he said, go towards Gerike. And I said, okay. And I hit that legislative quarters bridge to enter Gerike. And he said, do you know where any other salon where they shave? Because we are going to the salon. And I said, wow, if you're going to the salon, there's no need going to the salon. I can shave your hair for you. He said, how do you mean? I said, yeah, I'm a good barber. 1994, 95, I was one of the best barber in Benin State, in Boko precisely. And even the hairstyle I was wearing then, I told him I shaved myself. Nobody shaved me. And he said, okay, let's give it a try. And we turned back from Gerike back to the church premises, entered his office, pull out the mirror and his clipper, the gadgets, and I shaved the hair. And he gave me the freedom to give him a hairstyle that I believe that I feel is good for him. And I gave him that first haircut, that style, which is his present hairstyle today. I gave him that pattern. And when the wife came, Becky Aneche, she was like, wow, this is beautiful. This is fine. And that was how everything happened. And why did I left Dunamis was what I said I was going to say in the second episode. I left Dunamis not because I was sacked. I left Dunamis not because I resigned. I left Dunamis not because I desired to leave. I left because of conspiracy. I was conspired against by few colleagues who tried to use Becky's office as the head of admin against me. And she was not really aware of what really happened. But they just gave her a letter to sign, which she signed that my mom should get out of the second room where I was occupying, that another driver is coming to occupy the room. And many things happened, which I replied, and Dr. Paul was not happy with the letter that was served me, because when my mom came, I took her to him that she was sick and she came just to have treatment and go back. And there were other rooms in the pastor's quarters where the driver could occupy, but they insisted that it has to be my room. And I was given 24 hours for my mom to quit, which I responded to the letter and said I was going to take over my responsibility of paying my house rent myself if the church cannot accommodate my mom. When the letter got to the senior pastor, he was very furious at his wife, and that was the genesis of my issue with Becky and Nietzsche, because she felt the senior pastor shouted at her in presence of other pastors, and the place was no longer comfortable for me. The first thing that happened, I was to barb Dr. Paul's hair, and he told me, for now, I will not be shaving his hair again. And I'm like, wow, it has gotten to this. What happened? Immediately I knew it was because of that letter and the reactions that happened a few days ago. And I started noticing I was no longer needed. All kinds of things were happening. I thought that was the end. Another conspiracy happened. Alex was the PA to Dr. Paul, and I am the one shading Dr. Paul, and I am the music director. And the city of Abuja was divided in fellowship, house fellowship. So there's a coordinator for Wuse, there's a coordinator for Wuse Metama, coordinator for Gerke, coordinator for Mpapi, all those stuff. So I was coordinating Metama and Wuse after Oloche King Adaji was transferred. And Alex came to me one day and said that he he's a bit stranded and he doesn't want to doesn't know what to do. I said, what is it? He said there's no food in his house and the wife is heavily loaded about to deliver. He brought an idea if we could go to my zone, the house fellowship zone, to go visit our house care fellowship leaders, pray with them. It's possible they could give us offering and all that. And I'm like, how is that possible? I've never done that. And they say, yes, we should just go. And I said, no, I can't do that. Well, there is someone who's been asking me to come to the house and I'm scared. I don't want to like go. And he said, who is that? I say, Barrister Amobi is still alive. I say, I say, yes. I said, okay, hey, let's go now. So I put a call across to Barrister Amobi and the wife that I was coming to the house. And the wife informed the husband that I was coming. And they prepared a buffet to receive us. And we went as usual, prayed with them. We had our time, had our lunch. Everyone was happy. You know, the wife has been desiring me to come to the house. Very wonderful woman. You know, she just liked me like that. And even my younger sister, Mary, who is in Kano today working with UBA Bank, at a point was staying with Barrister Mobi's wife. I should tell you how the relationship was built. So when it was done and we're driving out of the house, Amobi came and handed over an envelope to me and an envelope to Alex. And so we prayed with them and we left. And Alex was happy and said, well, I've never done this, but no problem. So he entered his car, drove out of the compound, and I drove out of the compound and followed him. Then it was myself and Alex that had car among the pastors, Honda 86. I can't forget. Mine was navy blue. Alex is black. Honda 86, yes, very beautiful car then. Then, while he was trying to drive fast, I just horned him, flashed him, and he stopped. So I came out of my car and I met him and I said, how much is in your envelope? He counted the money, it was 3,000 naira. And I counted mine, it was 5,000. So I removed 1,000 out of my own. Sorry, he counted his own, it was 5,000. And mine was 7,000. So I'm like, the man gave me 7,000. Well, I'm more friendly to the family than Alex. So I removed the 2,000 on my own and added to Alex, making 7,000. Why I should hold 5,000? Because as at that time, I felt I don't really have responsibility. I don't really have anything much. But he is desperately in need of money. And I'm this kind of person that I can die for a friend. And he drove straight from that place to Meitama, where Dr. Paul was living then, and told him, based on what Dr. Paul told me himself, that Anyebe took him somewhere to go and prophesy, and they gave them offering. And his conscience couldn't let him. That's why he came to report himself. And Dr. Paul was like, who? The Anyebe that he knows? He said, yes. Dr. Paul couldn't control the temperament. So he said, okay, you can go, you can go. He collected the money as evidence. Came to the church in the evening. We gathered on Saturday after my choir rehearsals, and then it was time for pastors' prayers meeting Saturday. If you are used to Dunamis, all the pastors, ministers can testify to this. After the choir rehearsals, pastors will come together to pray for the Sunday service. And after the prayer, usually on Saturday after the prayer, I will follow him to the house and shake the hair. And he's like, I should just forget about going to shave him. And I'm like, what really happened? Then they brought a timetable. The timetable determines your sitting arrangement and your responsibility in the service. I'm to take opening prayer, first service, testimony, third service, like that. Sunday morning, everything changed. My sitting position. Wow. I was told to sit at the back. What happened? I can't tell. My body was shaking throughout the first, second, third, fourth service. And after everything, went to the office. As usual, we gathered after the service to pray in daddy's office, the senior pastor's office. And people were commenting. Usually, that is what they do. Everyone would say, wow, the service today was awesome. I've never seen this kind of miracle before. This one would say, it was glorious. I've only read, I've never seen this. That is what a privilege to witness this kind of miracle. In fact, that testimony was heavy. They will say all kinds of things. I have never commented. At a point, Dr. Paul asked me, why is it that when people comment on service, you don't comment? I said, I don't know. I don't just feel like. And that fateful day, everyone were all commenting as usual. So I was quiet as I used to. And he looked at me while he prayed with us and we were leaving the office. He called me back and I came back. He said, did you take opening prayers? I said, no. He nodded his head. He said, I see. If you know him very well, you understand. He said, I see. He said, did you know why you were not sitting in your normal position? I said, I don't know, sir. He said, I see. So I'm like, I don't understand, sir. Is there any problem? And he said, no. He said, are you hungry? Do you have money? I said, yes, sir, I have money. I'm not hungry. Then I brought out the envelope. Usually I give him my tithe. I pay my tithe directly to him. So I brought out an envelope containing my tithe of that money. So I dropped the envelope on the table and like, this is my tithe. That confirmed what Alex had told him. And I said, have you been paid? I said, no, sir. He said, so you got money? I said, yes, sir. Somebody blessed me. He said, I see. Usually he will hold my hands with the envelope and then bless the envelope. But this time around, he said, drop it on the table. I dropped it on the table. So while I was about going, he now called me. He sensed there is a foul place somewhere. So he called me and he said, who is your best friend? I said, Alex. He said, I see. He said, have you ever seen me introduce anybody on this altar as my best friend before? I said, no, sir. He said, promise me you are not going to fight because he knows I've fought in the church several times. He knows my kind of person. I can't forget one instance. There's a prophet who came to plant a church directly behind Dunamis' window. And sometimes when he's preaching, he'll be calling names of members from Dunamis. Pastor Ken, who was sound engineer then, said he was going to get a device that will mute the guy's microphone. Everything they tried to work, nothing happened. So one day, Daddy was preaching and the man was prophesying, causing serious havoc. The megaphone he was using was entering directly into Dunamis Church, and there was nothing anybody could do. You know what I did? I left the seat straight up. He was looking at me. He knew where I was heading to. I went straight to the man's church, pulled down the cable of the speaker. The protocol and the ushers wanted to fight me. The pastor told them to leave him, leave him, leave him. That was how I disconnected their microphone, their speakers, and I walked away. As soon as I come in, Dr. Paul did me like this, thumbs up. So he knew my kind of person. So he said, promise me you're not going to fight. I said, I will not. And he said, Alex told me that you took him to go prophesy and they gave you people money. I said, Alex? He said, yes. I said, wow. So I knelt down, but I was lying down, holding his leg to please forgive me. It was never my intention. Alex brought the idea, and I never knew it was a setup to conclude what they have started. So he told me to just go. And when all of those things happened, I felt, wow, I'm no longer needed in this environment. Everybody is against me. So there was no need. And that was how I left Dunamis. I was never sacked. I never resigned. I walked away. How did I walk away? King Omodo gave me an idea. I caught something from him. He was teaching in one of the morning devotion, and he said, when you are treated below your expected desire, don't ask why. And everybody were like, when people mistreat you or treat you wrongly, you don't have anything to say. He said, when you are treated below your expectation, don't ask why, walk away. Reason number one, you are not responsible for the people's character development. So however they treat you shouldn't be your problem. It is because of the way they are brought up that made them treat you the way they treat you. Reason number two, nobody is interested in you more than themselves. So they will have their personal understanding and behavior and achievement in mind. So they will prefer to misbehave with you and have their best. It's reason number three. He said, everybody wants to be celebrated. So you can never be celebrated than them. So people will conspire out of envy to do anything and to label you. So walk away. Wow. And that was how I walked away. First time in Dunamis, 2004, I walked away. I was never sacked and I never resigned. So when I left, went straight to Yola doing my music. My first album came out, Destiny. And Dr. Paul saw my song on ACBN. One of the first musicians who was in ACBN. I think I was one of them. And he called me. When he called my line, my wife picked and told him I was in Kano. I was in Living Faith Kano ministry under Pastor Ishios. And then I came back. I called him back that I actually traveled and left my phone because my wife doesn't have a phone then, that time. So I needed to leave a phone with her so I can be calling her from phone book to communicate how she's doing. So he said he wants to see me the November convention. I should be around. That song I sang, he wants me to sing the song. And what's that song? Lord, I pledge you my life, you're my destiny. 'Cause you've been there for me. I'm so grateful, Lord. Lord, I pledge you my life, you're my miracle. 'Cause you've changed my life. So there's this particular part where I put the vision of the commission in the song, where you say, if you are used to Dunamis, there's this welcome announcement we used to have. It's a vision statement, say, no matter how battered, shattered, scattered you are, your entrance into Dunamis guaranteed you being gathered together. So, and I said, no matter how battered, shattered, scattered your destiny may be, you can be gathered together and all over. Yes, and the song went wide. He loved the song, and I came and ministered the song. They say he's one of his prodigal son is back. All I'm saying is a record. And I told him in the office, I'm not back because this was not the arrangement. I'm not back. He said, your brothers who fought you have left also. So you come back. I said, okay, I'm going to think about it. From 2008, I never came back. So I'm going to tell you how I left the second time, how I came in the second time and left the second time. So that when you see somebody paid something on social media, you don't just go to attack the person. Ask questions. Everything I have said, there are pastors who I met in Dunamis who are still there. They are living witness. This is Prince. My next episode, I may not go into the story of Dunamis. I'll be telling you why I was called Prince Piccolo. Yeah, look up to see you. God bless you. Thanks.